More fallout from the election. Mark Begich is done. O-V-A-H. He was the senator from Alaska, and he was just declared the former senator from Alaska because Dan Sullivan, his opponent, beat him. It had taken a while to count the votes, and so now it's official. Another Democratic seat lost. The Republican has won. Now, what I want to do with you guys is explore why. Now, this is some of the stuff we had said before the election and wound up catching up with Mark Begich. Now, let's be fair in the beginning and understand that there are a lot of factors here, not just that he ran as a weak Democrat trying to pretend to be a Republican, okay? That is the principal cause, as I'm about to show you. But there were other factors. So his opponent, Sullivan, as the Associated Press explains, hit the ground running, exhibiting a fundraising prowess that rivaled and during some quarters exceeded that of Begich. Now, they find this to be surprising because Begich was the incumbent. I don't find it to be surprising at all. The Koch brothers and other Republican groups pour in millions of dollars to every Republican who's in any way in a competitive race. The Associated Press frames that as if like it's some sort of badge of honor for someone, like, ooh, nice fundraising. Yes, he was good at taking legalized bribes, and that was pouring into every close Senate race. But that was a factor. That's a factor. A lot of money spent against Begich. Okay, but he also had a lot of money. Okay. Now, a second factor was something that was positive. Begich, to his credit, sometimes had very progressive policies and they were very popular, right? One of the things he wanted to do was expand Social Security, not shrink Social Security, expand it. So that's a great idea. Here's a little description of that from the Washington Post. Begich, this is somebody from his campaign explaining why he was doing this, firmly believes we need to expand Social Security benefits, not cut them, and he's committed to sharing this view and standing up for Alaska seniors on the campaign trail as he has in the Senate. In the coming weeks, Begich will make the contrast with his opponents very clear. Okay? So, well, that's really positive, right? But if you noticed, that was in the closing weeks of the race. So that article by the Washington Post was written in the beginning of October, leaving just about a month. Now, you did something very smart. 84% of Americans say that Social Security should be cut under no circumstances. They don't care if the budget's completely out of control. They don't care if the world is exploded. Under no circumstance should you cut it. This guy's saying, let's add a little bit to it. It's very popular. But as, again, the Washington Post notes here, quote, the goal, sharpen the contrast with his GOP opponent Sullivan in the final days of the race. But why did you do it in the final days of the race? Why didn't you do it throughout? Why? Because they're scared of their own shadow. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. Sullivan kept beating him up, saying, I voted with Obama 97% of the time. And Begich kept running and running. In any field, whether it's sports, it's politics, outside of track, whoever wins by just running away. It never works. Prevent defense. Oh my God, I'm going to play your game, but just a little worse. It's a strategy that's ever worked. All right, so let me get into the details of how he ran his campaign predominantly. Begich touted his clout, including a position on the powerful Senate Appropriations Committee. Why would you do that? I'm a really good DC insider. I mean, you guys spend untold millions of dollars in each one of these races, and not one single consultant in there said, hey, knucklehead, people hate Washington insiders. So you going around saying, oh, I am a powerful Washington man, isn't going to help you, it's going to hurt you. Then, Begich, for example, was born and raised in Alaska, the AP explains. He cast Sullivan, who grew up in Ohio, as an outsider, and many of the early attacks by the pro-Begich groups keyed in to that theme. What are we running, a campaign from the 1950s? Oh, you know, Bob doesn't live around here. I've been in this county for 58 years. My family had a farm here. We've been here for 3 generations. Nobody gives a shit about that anymore. What are you going to do? What's your policy position? Now, forget policy positions. What are you going to do for the voter? Are you going to make his life better or are you going to make it worse? I mean, this provincial bullshit about, oh, I'm from Alaska and he's lived in Alaska a long time, but he was originally from Ohio. He held elected office in Alaska. Such a weak attack against your opponent. Now, look, am I saying never mention that? Yeah, sure, it's a throwaway. But if you prioritize it and you spend a lot of money on it, you have made a terrible mistake. Well, he did. That's why he lost. Okay, more. Begich focused during that race on bolstering his homespun image, casting himself as an independent thinker, unafraid to stand up to Obama, with a record of working across party lines, including with Alaska's senior senator, Republican Lisa Murkowski. Okay, can you be any more wrong as a strategist, as a person who's trying to do, as Bush would say, strategery, right? Okay, so he says, I'm not with Obama, but dude, you voted with him 97% of the time. It's like Mitt Romney saying, I'm not that rich, I got Costco shirts. We know you're rich, we know you've got $250 million at least for Romney. And in your case, yes, you voted with Obama. You can't run far away from that. You have to embrace it, say, here are the positive things we did. Hey, the deficit is less than half of what it was under the Republicans. You want to go back to the Republicans who ballooned the deficit, who are horrible on that? The stock market is back up. The unemployment is below 6%. You guys have more health insurance because of Obamacare. Run on the positives. Instead to run away, you look like a politician. You look greasy. It's never going to work anyway. And then, oh no, I cross party lines. I'm a Republican too. I love voting with the Republicans. Loser. And that's exactly what happened. An eminently winnable race. Obviously, I mean, it took like a week to figure out who won. It was that close. All he had to do was play it a little right. He once put up an ad, and we talked about it here on the Young Turks. This is not Monday Morning Quarterback. I said it during the election. I said, don't go in this direction. This is the wrong strategy. He put an ad where him and Lisa Murkowski are in the same picture, and they're, oh yeah, and they're shaking hands and they're hugging. Oh yeah, Lisa Murkowski, she's a Republican senator. Oh, we're such good friends. It would be bad enough if you just ran that commercial pretending to be a Republican when people know you're not, right? And if you're pretending to be a Republican, why wouldn't I just vote for the real Republican? Okay, but then you had to think it through. What's Lisa Murkowski going to do? She's a Republican. She's going to back the Republican, which she did. So she said, stop running the ad. You're embarrassing yourself. In fact, AP explains, Murkowski told Begich to knock it off. And then you look like a fool. Oh, yeah, I'm with the Republican Senator Murkowski. And she says, get the out of here. No, you're not. And you're like, oh, sorry. I'll stop running that ad. Look, I feel bad doing this because Mark Begich was in some ways a good senator, okay? He's a Democrat, and so he's frustrating in 8,000 different ways. But sometimes he took some courageous votes and did some right things, okay? But I'm doing this not for Mark Begich. His career is done. He'll probably go be a lobbyist somewhere and make a lot of money, okay? He'll probably be ecstatic. All former politicians from Alaska make a lot of money and are ecstatic, right? They find good new lines of work, and this is a revolving door of our sickening so-called democracy at this point. He'll go find his corporatist friends and make good money for them. Okay. I'm saying it for the future. Stop running these kind of campaigns unless you want to lose and go and work at K Street and make more money, which I get. But this is a stupid losing strategy. That's why Democrats lost seats in Arkansas, North Carolina, Kentucky, Alaska, all the places they could have won, all the places where progressive policies won on the same exact night by overwhelming margins. Minimum wage increased, hugely popular in all of those states, including Alaska, but they never ran on it. Instead, they ran away from their issues and ran towards the Republicans, and they all lost, like lambs to the slaughter. So I guess that's Democratic Politics 101. I don't know whether to yell louder or just give up on them. And you guys are born losers, and you get paid to be losers because that's what you do. You take campaign donations, and then you tell your incredibly wealthy donors, oh, don't worry, I won't run on the minimum wage because I know you don't want to increase the minimum wage because that means that we'd have to take a nickel away from your $1 billion and give it to some of your employees. So you're paid to be losers, and losers is what you are. So go ahead and pack your baggage and get the fuck out of here.